Kuda Biza. Welcome to Entrepreneur Talks podcast run by Women Flakes. I'm so glad to have you here today with us and excited to get to know you more and your business.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast, and I'm looking forward to have a fun, engaging podcast that will add value to your audience.
Absolutely. And by the way, my name is Yola, and I would like to know, where are you talking from?
Yes, I'm in New York City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. What about you?
I'm in London, United Kingdom.
Which
Yeah.
zone? Zone one, zone two, zone three?
Zone 3.
Zone three.
So,
Nice. I'm in London a lot, so I'm quite familiar with the area.
oh yeah, I was about to say. So if you're talking about zones, I'm sure you know this city for being so like, and you know well. So you come often to London.
Pre-COVID, yes, I would be in London every 6 weeks.
Oh,
So yeah.
really good. Let me know next time you come after COVID. So you come for speak in events or just visiting.
I have another business. I work with a lot of the English Premiership teams. So I work with Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Tottenham Hotspur. So because of that, I have to meet with the clubs. We have to do a lot of work. So that's another business that I have.
Fantastic.
So because of that, I'm always in London.
Oh, fantastic. I'm a Chelsea girl, by the way, just to let you know.
That's good. I'm a Chelsea fan as well.
Okay, awesome. So, Kuda, tell me about yourself and how you got started, your other business, because I'm sure like now we know that you got more than one business. Who is Kuda Biza?
Yeah, well, Kuda Biza is, an entrepreneur. Started out in Zimbabwe when I started my first business in Harare. And I started my first business when I was 9 years old. And, it was really out of necessity, right? They say that necessity is the mother of invention. So what happened was that that day I went to my mom and I asked her for money for an ice cream, and my mom said no. And I was like, you know what? I need to start making my own money because I cannot depend on people. And, I just need to have more control over my destiny. So
Right.
I started cleaning windows in my neighborhood at 9 and, started doing it by myself. And by the end of the summer, I had 12 of my friends working for me. So that was my real first taste of entrepreneurship. And then later on, when I was in uni, I started my second business, which was a clothing line, Afrocentric line, but it was a social venture because we would donate 20% of our profits to educate kids in Africa. And that was an interesting business because I started it with $150 in my dorm room at the university. So I had to be resourceful. So one of the things that I did to really start the business off the ground is I went to my supplier and I said to my supplier, listen, can you give me 30-day payment terms? Because I don't have money. I only have $150, but I want to make a difference. I want to change lives. We want to educate orphans in Africa because I'd grown up in Zimbabwe. And I don't know if it was because I was a good salesperson or, they just felt an admiration to what I wanted to do. They said yes. So I used my supplier as my bank, and we started selling t-shirts on university campuses across South Florida. So Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, all these different campuses, and we built a business. We ended up even going to as far as Harvard. We did an event at Harvard, and so that was another great fun entrepreneurial experience. But what that led to, it led to me actually working in a big Fortune 500 company. So after university, I got hired by a big multinational company. So, they were doing maybe like 10, $15 billion in revenue. And they hired me to start creating businesses in their environment. So think about being a startup entrepreneur in a big multi-billion dollar environment. So that was my job after college. So I created multiple businesses while I was there. I created a meal delivery business. I created a beer um how can I call it, like a draft system, an at-home draft system with a partnership with Budweiser, the company that owned the Budweiser brand, Anheuser-Busch. We also did so some other concepts within the health space. So a lot of things that we did, but it enabled me to really sharpen my skill as an entrepreneur, because I went from the regular bootstrapping to now working with millions of dollars in terms of a budget. So I've been kind of like at both ends, where I've started small, and also when I've started with the resources, to now where I am the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Unbelievable, which is a cookie company, and it's backed by Tony Robbins. It's also backed by Michael Loeb, he's a billionaire, and a few other very interesting people.
Fantastic. The cookie, why cookie? Cookie what? Sorry, I found very, you said unbelievable, your company?
None, none believable. So Nun, like a nun, like a sister.
Yeah.
Um,
And why that name? Where is that name coming from? What is the meaning?
why not? Why not that name, right? Um,
Something is behind, right? Not.
yeah. Obviously, there's a story behind everything. So the way Unbelievable started was that there was a group of nuns that were being evicted in San Francisco. So Tony Robbins, I don't know if you know Tony Robbins, the
Of
motivational
course.
speaker.
Yeah.
He read about that story, and he was actually on his way to San Francisco. So he went out to help the nuns, and he covered for their rent, and then reached out to Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, and came up with some money to really solve the problem for the nuns. But what they found was the nuns were baking cookies and selling cookies at farmers markets. And I don't know how much you know about San Francisco, but in San Francisco there's a high cost of living, so there's a lot of people who are struggling with hunger.
Oh,
And these nuns were selling these cookies so that they could support a soup kitchen where they were feeding hundreds of people a day. Now, what that meant, it meant that the nuns had to, they didn't want to go into retail.
I just
And
wanna.
yeah, they didn't want to go into retail or grow big. So Tony Robbins came up with the idea of like, hey, how can we create a company that has a buy one, give one model? And that's how it all came about. So we were inspired by nuns and what they were doing. And obviously, as a company, we're learning from what they did of being selfless. So that's why for every cookie we sell, we provide a meal. So we have a one-for-one model as well. But obviously, we're not nuns, we're business people, we're
Of course,
entrepreneurs.
of course.
But the origin story is really strong. So we really like to stick with that.
Fantastic. So your business is related with food. There we go, right?
Yeah.
This the non-believable because you're feeding other people and you're still doing this for the kids or the people in Zimbabwe or in Africa, or is more now is more than Zimbabwe, is more countries that you helping when you say you're giving a meal to other people when you buy some cookies. When someone buys a cookies, right?
So with Unbelievable, right now, all of our impact is US based.
Ah,
So
US.
we, you
Okay.
know, we donate to soup kitchens in the US. So we're a US based company, and our impact is also US based. In America, there are more than 40 million Americans who struggle with hunger.
Right.
That's almost 67% of the population in the UK. That's more than the population of Canada. So there's a big hunger issue in America itself. Um, the other businesses, not Unbelievable, like the clothing line I mentioned, another one called This Is My Era. Those are the ones that do impact in Africa. But Unbelievable itself, it's right now primarily focused on alleviating hunger in the US.
I'm amazed, Kuda, by your journey because you started when you were 9 years old, and then when you went to the university, you also had the opportunity to work to build something for other people. So you've been always building or supporting other people on your way, like creating space for more people. Right.
I think that's what it's all about, right? We all have unique gifts that we've been given, and the reason we've been given these gifts is for us to share them, right? If you have a gift to give to the world and you just use it for yourself, there's no benefit, right? So my gift has been to create enterprises to benefit those in need. So that's what I've done.
That's I love it because it's one of our missions as well as a Women Flix. And you also had time to write a book, right?
Yeah. I wrote a book. It got published this September. It's
Oh,
called the S.P.E.A.R method, and it's really something that I really felt, you know, everybody, especially entrepreneurs, should read. Because as an entrepreneur myself, it's something that I found myself at a crossroads, right? So remember, I was telling you that I was working in a big Fortune 500 company, and obviously, in some of these publicly traded companies, they don't really have a social mission that's really tied into a business. So, for instance, a buy one, give one model, right?
mhm.
And for me, that's something that I was looking for in enterprise. And I felt like as I was in Fortune, in corporate America, I was chasing success while not focusing on my fulfillment. So I needed to figure out how I could balance the two, where I could have both success and fulfillment. Because success, obviously, is something that's external. It's sales, it's how much money you make, it's the car you drive, the clothes you wear. That's how success is interpreted by a lot of people, right? While fulfillment is more internal, right? If you're fulfilled, you know, people around you might not even see that, but you yourself, you
Yeah.
feel it because it's something internal. So I didn't want to be that guy who creates these big multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar companies, but I'm sad, I'm miserable, I'm not happy. I wanted to make sure that, you know, as I'm creating success, I'm also fulfilling myself in everything that I do. And part of it really came about in 2015 when my sister passed away so suddenly. So my eldest sister, Memory, she was just outside walking her dog, and sorry, she was walking her daughter, and the dog came and bit her,
Oh,
and the dog had rabies, and she passed away. And as I was at her memorial, I was just thinking about, was she happy? Was she fulfilled? Did she feel that, you know, she had contributed everything that she wanted to contribute? So, you know, I don't know, obviously don't know the answer to those questions, but those were questions I started asking myself to say, like, hey, am I happy? Am I doing what I've been called to do? Because everybody has a calling. We all have an assignment on earth, and the only way you can be fulfilled is if you actually,
it's
you know,
nice.
live out your calling. So I knew that it's not something that I struggled with by myself, or these are not questions that I probably think about by myself. But there are other entrepreneurs out there who are thinking about that. So I decided to write the book, The S.P.E.A.R Method.
Fantastic. And sorry to hear about your sister, but I appreciate the explanation, the way you explain why you wrote this book, and I'm so excited. I'm sure I'm gonna get access to this book soon. I don't know if it's on Amazon because, as you know, I'm in London, so probably you go on Amazon and other companies, other brands online, right? So
Yeah, it's on Amazon UK, so you can certainly get it.
oh,
So you know, we've had people over Europe buy it, people in Australia, people in the US. So the book has found itself to places that I've never been before.
before,
So I'm happy that, you know, people across the world are reading it.
fantastic. And you would you mind if I place the link when I will go and search on
Yeah, you
Amazon and
should. You
I
should
place
definitely
the
put the
link
link. Yeah, I'll send you the link later, and you can put it on the podcast.
on my podcast because I think it would be good to have you with your information as well.
Sure.
Now, Kuda, if if let's say that a young entrepreneur on these 20s would come straight to you, would stop in front of you looking for some answers, what sort of advice would you give? What would you say?
What would be the question?
How can I get, I'm just thinking like if I was in my 20s, I've seen so many things happening these days, Kuda. Like everyone is getting very famous on social media, and I can't see myself doing what a lot of people does. But do you have an advice what I should do apart from social media? What should I do?
Well, I'll give them a very simple answer. Go buy my book, because
I
in
love
in
it.
in in my book, I talk about that a lot. Like the S.P.E.A.R method, it's 5 stages, right? So the first one is seek your why. So I talk about why you should really understand your purpose, your calling, because if you just do what everybody else is doing, you might be living out someone else's purpose. So just because someone else is doing social media, it doesn't mean that you have to be doing social media, right? um, you know so I think that would be the advice that I'll give them, because it would give them way more than what I could answer in a minute or 2 minutes if
Yeah.
they actually go out and read the book. And also, what's interesting is that in the book, I also share a lot of lessons that I've learned from other successful people. So now you're just not learning from me, but you're learning from
Others.
other successful entrepreneurs, professional athletes, billionaires that I've been able to interview and be around. So you get a lot of wealth of information. But the first thing I'll tell them is, obviously you need to seek your why. Once you know your why, you want to come up with a plan, which is number two,
Mm.
around how you're going to get there. And then the next thing after you come up with a plan is you need to execute. Because if you come up with a plan but you don't take action, what's
Right.
the point of coming up with a plan? So it's super important for you every single day to wake up, spend the first 15, 30 minutes of each day planning your day, how you're going to use your time, because time is the most important resource that we all have, right?
Right.
You have 24 hours in a day, I have 24 hours in a day. No matter how much money I might have, I cannot add one more hour to my day, right?
Yeah.
Bill Gates cannot go buy one more hour so that he has 25 instead of 24 hours in a day. So making sure that you're maximizing your day is going to be super important. So you need to prioritize and take action on the things that align with your why. So I think that would be the thing. And if I was to give it to them in a quote, I would say that the three most important days in a person's life are the day you're born, the day you find out why, and each day you act on your why. So you just need to make sure that every single day you're taking action towards your why.
Fantastic. Love it. Thank you so much. This young entrepreneur, he feels powerful now after listening what you just
Hopefully,
said.
but it's really up to them to go act, right? Because if I give you the advice and then you don't go act, you're mentally powerful, but from a results perspective, you might not
Action,
see the
action,
results.
right? We need the action.
Yep.
So the next step is buy Kuda book. Read it. And I'm really excited. I is one of the things that is important for as a human being as well. I believe is the reading
Hmm.
process. It's so
Yes.
many people that doesn't read, and they
Hmm.
reading, and then they see themselves, oh, I'm bored, I don't do anything, because you don't read, you don't take time to feed yourself. And that's one of the biggest problems, I think, in a lot of young people right now.
Hmm.
But thank you so much for this advice. And
No
I'm
problem.
sure people will love it, my listeners. And you already spoke about the three most important things that we should do in our life, which I was about to ask you when you just came in, like, yes, fantastic. And I've got another question. Why should every person and business should have a purpose?
Well, I don't think it should be every person in business. I think it should be every person in life,
Ah,
right?
okay.
Um, you know, Everybody in life should have a purpose, because regardless of what religion you believe in, your creator created you for a purpose. And like I said before, we all have our own unique gifts, and that gift is that purpose that you have. So if you think about it, you hear a lot of people saying like, "Oh, you're one in a million." No, that's actually wrong. You're one in 7.5 billion. right? Because there's only one Yola, you, in 7.5 billion people across the world. And there's something that you and only you can uniquely add to the world that no one else can. So it could be women flicks, it could be other things, but it's only you who has that unique gift and unique calling in life to do that. So having a purpose is something that will give you direction, because think about, think of your life as a journey, right?
Right.
And you don't know the destination. So what journey are you going to take when you don't know your destination?
Yeah.
Having a purpose gives you that point B, where I'm going from point A to point B. And you, as an individual, as an entrepreneur, you're the captain pilot of your life. So now you need to make sure you take your flight to point B, and you're going to need to plan. You'll face a lot of turbulence, the same way as a plane gets turbulence while flying, but then you have to manage through all of that turbulence and ultimately arrive at your purpose. So just like, any journey has a destination, every life should have a purpose.
Fantastic. Yeah, so true. I agree with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kuda. Now, my last question is, how can people connect with you and find more information about you? How they can find you?
Yeah, so they can call me on 079. I'm just joking. They can go to my personal website, which is S.P.E.A.R.method.com. So on S.P.E.A.R.method.com, they can see my book. They can connect with me directly. My email address and all that other stuff will be on that website. So that's one way they can get in touch with me. The second way would be they can get in touch with me on social media. So Kuda Biza, Kudabiza. So they can just find me on Instagram, and I'm quite responsive. And yes, it's actually me who does actually answer. So Instagram and LinkedIn are two of the channels that I actually engage with personally. And also they can find me on LinkedIn, so I can give you the link to my profile as well. And you can share it with your community.
Cool. Thank you, Kuda. All this information about Kuda will be on the description of the podcast when it comes live. So once again, I thank you so much for being here with us, like with Women Flicks with me. It's a pleasure. It's an honor, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much.
I hope that you carry on with your business, your various, not just one, but you continue to be successful, and for you and for your family, for your team, for everyone that works with you. And I love your energy. I'm gonna finish our call, and I'm go straight and check also your book and
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I will make sure that this book is going to be on your description as well. All right. God bless you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye bye.